Anthem has got to be one of the biggest disappointments in modern gaming history. I mean, this title had so much potential. It was graphically amazing. It was supposed to be sort of like an online Destiny-esque Iron Man simulator. I mean, it seemed like it could be really, really cool. But the problem is EA launched it without really having any content at all and having no idea what the point of the game was. It was just kind of like a shell to showcase really cool graphics, and that's about it. So today I thought it would be interesting if we went back and we actually tried it, because maybe in the time since it launched, I mean, now after all, we're on 1.7 when it launched at 1.0, so maybe now the game has more to offer. Maybe this is a hidden gem that's sleeping on everybody and it's gonna end up being a cult classic and we're gonna discover it today. Or maybe it still sucks. I'm not actually sure because I haven't tried it since it attempted to successfully launch years and years ago. And by years and years ago, I mean, because I just Googled it, the initial launch date was January 25th of 2019. But then Wikipedia says February 22nd, 2019. I don't remember what it was. All I know is it's been about 3 years. So let's talk about it and give it a shot. So from the main menu, we get to select a new pilot, and then we're gonna actually craft our own guy. Ooh, or I have this guy from way back in the day. I didn't expect to still have a save file on EA. That's kind of fun. You can see I didn't get that far before giving up on it. Let's try creating a fresh profile and new pilot and just starting from scratch and seeing what that has to offer. This, of course, runs in Frostbite, which is the engine that EA developed that they were very proud of, but that ended up causing a lot more issues for BioWare than it helped, because it turns out not all engines are created equal, and a lot of engines for video games can be really good at particular types of games, but not at others. Famously, Mass Effect Andromeda ran into all of those technical issues at launch because they were forced to use the Frostbite engine. Even though they didn't want to use it, they had to use it, and it just caused all sorts of technical issues. And the same thing was true of Anthem. BioWare, once again, was forced into using an engine that they didn't want to use and that wasn't capable of handling what they wanted to do. Because at the end of the day, Frostbite is an engine that was built for Battlefield. It was built for dice games. It's made for first-person shooters and not for big open-world exploration RPGs. And apparently they ran into that same issue time and time again while developing Anthem, where they just couldn't really get their feet under them. Just no matter what they did, they ran into a new technical issue, and then the bugs would come and seep in. Then they'd fix those bugs, but then the questing would be broken, and the whole thing just started to fall apart. And they ended up realizing that the game was probably not going to be that tremendous, which is why they launched it alongside their EA subscription model, where you could pay $15 and try the game, instead of paying a full $60 to buy it outright. And that, of course, led to a lot of people experimenting with Anthem, but deciding it wasn't worth them putting up the full $60 to buy it, because after just a few hours, they had seen literally everything that it had to offer. Okay, we have our cinematic cutscene playing to introduce us to the world and the story, and I will give them credit. The world of Anthem is relatively interesting. It's very complicated, and I don't have the understanding to really delve into it in this video, but if you ever have the time to just look at what could have been, investigate the story and some of the lore that they crafted for it, because it's actually kind of interesting. I mean, the kind of idea that like these gods created a world that was like a work in progress, they didn't finish it, they walked away from it, but their creations grew too powerful, and it's actually pretty interesting. Okay, here we come in, we see some of the characters that will be with us through the game's story, if you can call it that. And the graphics are pretty impressive. I mean, it looks good so far, but this is also a cinematic, so don't get your hopes up too much for what they're going to be able to deliver consistently through the rest of the game. And here we see the freelancer suiting up, and it looks cool. I'll give them that. This is pretty badass. This is why this game ended up being so heartbreaking and disappointing, because it seemed like it had a lot of potential and it just didn't quite live up to it. And here we see it transition to actual gameplay. It still looks good, but certainly not as good as the cutscenes did. It's a little jarring, specifically with the environments. So one of the staples of the Frostbite engine that I've noticed is the overwhelming use of particle effects, and it looks pretty good. I mean, I won't give them crap for it. The fire looks good. the little embers, the smoke effects, like that all looks pretty solid. I'll give them that. I will say, as like a prologue to this game, this doesn't do a very good job of showing what the game has to offer, because most of the fun I remember having, oops, Jesus Christ. Anyway, what I was saying is most of the fun I had with Anthem back in the day had to do with the Iron Man type suit where you could fly around and just go crazy and explore. That's not really a priority in this opening sequence. You can notice we're on pretty strict tracks with where we can go and what we have to do. And that's not an accident. Remember when I was saying that this engine is built primarily for first-person shooters? Well, that's true. And the developers ran into that with a lot of the gameplay sequences and realized that they couldn't actually do everything they wanted to do. Instead of having big, expansive maps and areas, they had to go this route and have more arena-based shooting, which just is not really a fulfillment of the vision and certainly not the advertised pitch of what this game was going to be. Come up here. Ooh, we see Titans. Okay, interesting. Big monsters up there shooting and causing damage. That's awesome. Oh, for the record, these outfits are called javelins. I think I've been accidentally referring to them as just freelancers. The freelancers are the guys that are inside of the suits, but the suits themselves are called javelins. Okay, then we reach the big boy. The big boy. These moments, I think, are the highlight that the game has to offer. They're big, epic moments, kind of fun boss fights, and with multiple players, like playing co-op, it's actually relatively fun. The problem is there's only like 1 or 2 of these boss fights every like 10 hours of gameplay, and maybe I just have ADHD. I don't have the patience for that, like to have one really cool moment of gameplay every 10 hours. I just don't want to deal with that. I'm enjoying this cutscene though. This ain't bad. Yeah, shoot its back, zit. There you go. I fought the same thing in God of War like 50 times because they also repeated a lot of enemies. But you notice we also didn't get to fight that guy. That was all a cutscene. They also do that a lot. There are opportunities to fight big guys like that, but they are so few and far between that they even bypass it in this opening. It's just bizarre. And then we transition to a long cutscene once again. We don't actually get to do that. So what's the next bit of gameplay? Let's skip ahead and see what that is. And boom, we transition right into here and we get access to flight. So I think that there are a few things that come to mind with Anthem that I would explain as and point to as problems with how they set things up. For one, I think the flying actually feels relatively good. I think the game is pretty gorgeous, especially for like early 2019 on last gen consoles. Doesn't look half bad. But there's a few things. When you give players access to flight, such as this, they expect to have a lot of freedom to be able to go over these hills and just explore. And when just randomly flying causes you to like overheat and drop, it just feels lame. It's like, what's the point of flying if I can only fly in this very small area? It doesn't hit the player right. But then there's also the issue of pacing, which I think is perhaps even a bigger deal, especially because there was a lot of bad press surrounding this game at the very start. People went into this expecting bad things. And that's a big problem because when people go into a game with bad expectations and negativity, you have to sort of beat them to the punch. You have to subvert expectations and surprise them. You have to shake things up and you got to catch them by surprise. And just no part of this game manages to do that. Every step of the way, the prologue is like really sluggish and slow. You see cool big monsters you want to fight and then you're not allowed to fight them. You have to sit through a cutscene and watch other people fight them. And it just time and again feels like, okay, I want to do that. Why can't I do that? I want to do what I see in the cutscene, but I have to do other stuff in the game. It just feels disconnected. Okay, we just jumped forward like 5 hours because I want to see what they actually have to bring to the table. This is my later save, which is level 7, past all the tutorials and everything. You see, we can immediately transition into cutscenes and cinematics to talk to characters. It's actually pretty smooth. I'll give them credit. There are dialogue options. They're not super robust. You can basically choose between yes and maybe okay, you know, so it's not like you have a ton of options, but it's still there. I appreciate that. Still a better RPG than Horizon Forbidden West. Dude, I bash so many games consistently. Like if I hate a game, I'm going to tell you I hate it. If I think it's stupid, I'm going to tell you it's stupid. I don't like pull punches or pretend to love things that I don't love. Horizon Forbidden West is one of those. I just think it was like really lame, and I cannot even tell you how many Sony ponies came at me. They like shared it in Reddit threads and everything, and people were coming at me like, L take, bro. Because I said that like Forbidden West wasn't very different from the original game, and I didn't think it was that compelling. I was just like, it's kind of like Horizon Zero Dawn 1.5. Doesn't feel like a full-blown sequel. And you would have thought that I like beat a puppy with a bat. Like, you would have thought from their reaction I did something horrible. It was just funny. But okay, so here, how we start expeditions is we can choose different missions. We can discover new lands, all different areas. They get harder as you go out though, so that's important to remember. We can select that one. We can select the difficulty then. The higher the difficulty, of course, the better the payout, XP, resources, etc. If we select hard, let's do that. And then we can choose to start mission, or we can go in here, add our squad members so we can actually add friends to join us. And then as you level up, you also get access to these slots to add different items and consumables that you can bring with you. Because of course the assumption is that as you level up and gain power, you're also probably going to need more like consumables and stuff to bring with you. Oh, I remember this outfit. I crafted this thing, and it like it's like red and neon green / yellow. It kind of looks like somebody spilled a McDonald's hamburger on the floor and then the ketchup and mustard just splatted. It looked really cool in the menus. In the game, it looks pretty stupid. Voila, we are here. Spawned on a bunch of bones. I'm on my way. I'll give them credit. Like, it looks good. It feels good to control. The cloth physics are great. I mean, it's not bad. You can see if we go into the menu, we have the forge where we can go and craft a bunch of stuff. This is where you can cosmetically alter not just your weapons, but also the physical appearance of you. This also allows you to swap out the different seals and abilities that you have. And so it kind of ends up feeling like an action RPG, which ain't terrible. Backup weapon. They're all based on power levels. Let's select this and just see what it's like. Okay. Let's go back in it. In it to win it. And for those of you curious, it did not give us a bot to play with. We are solo in here. No assistance. So this flying system is relatively interesting. Because you heat up when you fly, you have to cool off by doing different things. It could be that you fly under a waterfall to cool yourself off. It could be that you enter a cool gust of wind, whatever it may be, you can cool yourself off there. But it's also how they prevent you from just flying like straight up and out of the map, because when you get high, you just start to overheat, and yeah, see, it sends you back down. But I can see how this as a concept was pitched and why EA executives wanted to bite on it, why they thought that this had the potential to be kind of cool, because it does. I mean, it's a beautiful world that you can explore relatively freely with friends, and then there's all sorts of dynamic combat encounters that you can hop on to have fun, gain XP, level up. I mean, I get the vision, you know, I get it. Those things hit like a freaking truck, dear God. You see, I've got all different abilities that I can throw out too. With my weapon that doesn't really work too well. And I'll give them credit. I mean, these AoE abilities and effects are pretty cool. The sound design is pretty great. I'm about it. I get it. I like it. I'll also say we're recording in 4K for our like production process. That means we currently have to do things at 30 FPS, but I am getting a consistent frame rate over 100 frames, averaging closer to 120. So the game actually is relatively well optimized. But like I was saying, the vision, I get it. I see it now. And that's a good thing, because there are some games out there where I just don't see what the vision was. I don't get why the game was made. It just doesn't make any damn sense at all. Like that game that they pitched at Gamescom, the Everywhere trailer that they put off. I don't know if you saw that. If you're hanging out with us live on stream, you saw my reaction to it. I'll have a link to my live stream YouTube channel in the description box below the like button so you can check that out. But like, look at this trailer. Jacob, put that up. This trailer for Everywhere. It's a game, turns out it's like heavy in NFTs. It's the Web 3.0 next gen whatever gaming crap. And when the developers were asked what this game was, they couldn't explain it. They just said it was a next gen experience, as if that means anything at all. And it was like, okay, well, Like, how did you get money for this? Like, did you just say, oh, this is going to be the next crypto boom, give us money and we'll let you in on it? They must have, because otherwise it doesn't make any sense at all. Oh, dude, we got another player. Nice. Kelby Proxy. If anybody knows Kelby Proxy out there and is seeing this video, give him a shout out. Like, that's awesome. Somebody is actually playing Anthem like 3 years after launch, and not for a YouTube video that they're gonna post to make fun of it. So you'll notice so far we have gone to a predetermined location. We have started shooting things that come at us in waves, and that's about it. Well, if you feel like that is a little underwhelming, that's fair, because I mean, that's pretty much all this game is. Also, I don't know how many of these guys are bots, if any. If these are all players, they all filled in at like the same time. And I'm not complaining. I mean, I appreciate the assistance. And then we move over here to a new area. And you want to take bets on what you think we're gonna have to do at this location? I'm guessing we're gonna have to fight waves of enemies. Oh, yep, there they are. Full force. Oh, God. Okay, get behind it. These guys are like so much better than me. They're just smashing people. So let me say this. I'm actually not having a bad time. This is actually relatively fun, and I can see why this vision was pitched and why they tried to turn this into a game. That being said, there's not much depth here. You know, it's like, as wide as an ocean, as deep as a puddle is the old saying. And I think that that's pretty accurate here. There's a lot to look at and gawk at, and the stuff that is here is beautiful. But after you get past that initial like, ooh, shiny feeling, you kind of just run out of stuff to do and admire, and you're left wondering what the point is. And that's because there really isn't one. You're just kind of along for the ride, and if this looks great, you're probably going to enjoy it. But if this looks kind of bland and like there's not much else here, that's also very much correct. Yeah, these guys are so much better than me. They know where the spawn points are. They're like running around finding the spawn points and then camping them and cleaning up, and then they move on to the next one. They've done this a few times, I reckon. Yeah, for real, dude. These guys are just wrecking these NPCs crap. Like, they don't stand a chance, dude. And this, I think, is the exact feeling I had back when we played at launch. Like, I remember having an awesome time for like 90 minutes and being like, what is all the negative press about? And then realizing that there literally was nothing else, that this was it. And then like this moment of, oh, bummer came over me. Cause like, if they took this and then just spent a little bit more time or had like the tech available to them to really nail the like world design and the crafting of everything else, this could have been something really special. But it's just not quite there. It's why a lot of people were saying like this game is a great proof of concept. And I think that that's very fair, because it's like solid in its ideas, but it's really sort of off in its execution and follow through. And it's just unfortunate, because it could have been something really special. But especially after the launch and the overall reception to this game, there's no way EA is going anywhere near it. They're steering clear, and I don't think they're going to be going anywhere near Anthem for a good long while, especially because BioWare had like 2 outings in a row that were just not great. Like, look at this Master Sneeros. He's just running around pounding the earth to clear out these 2 spawn points. Like, dude knows what he's doing. I'll give him that. Like, for real, these usernames are quite unique. I can't imagine that these are bots. I would guess they're players. But I mean, what do I know? And boom, mission complete. Mission ends in 5 seconds, and that's it. And then we go, and in theory, we should be doing these many times to level up and eventually get access to better gear, which allows us to go on bigger and badder and harder missions, which allows us to get better stuff to go on bigger and better missions, to get better stuff, to go on bigger and better missions. You know, for fun. for fun. I will say these guys were good sports. They had a good time. 28, 8, level 20. Yeah. So these guys know what they're doing. We got a new javelin. Ooh, let's go check that out. And then I think we'll have a pretty good idea on what this has to offer. Okay, we're back in Fort Tarsus, which is where you go to do all of your work on your javelin and everything else. And here, I forget where we go. This right here, boom. We can do all of the customizations we want to do. So as you can see here, we have 4 total options. We have the Storm, which is the one I've been using. The Ranger, which looks like the one in all of the marketing materials. Colossus, which is the big tanky dude, heavily armored javelin, cornerstone of human society, and is used in various occupations, including industrial work, deep sea diving, heavy transport, blah, blah, blah. Slower, can take a lot of damage, looks good for tanky players. And then the Interceptor, which is all about movement, getting out around places super quick, and it's all about agility. So it's the regular archetypes that you would expect, and it doesn't look half bad, and they all feel pretty good to control. I mean, just to do like the polar opposite, if we choose the Colossus, let's go out and explore and give him a shot. And here we are with the big boy Colossus javelin. He flies, feels like pretty much the same, maybe a little stiffer in movement. Then running around, he's a little slower. Oh, that's kind of cool. Different weapon loadouts by default. I can appreciate that. We have a pound. Okay. Then we've got a big rocket launcher. That's kind of cool. Pop goes the weasel. We go here. Let it loose. Okay. It actually feels pretty good to control. Not too shabby. Yeah, I don't know. After all this, I think I would just say, trying Anthem again, I can see what the vision was. I can understand why people were pumped for it and why I enjoyed it initially. But this game is like the perfect example of how great graphics do not a great game make, how you need to have a pretty comprehensive vision for what the gameplay is going to be like, instead of just like the broad strokes imaginations of what it can look like in a marketing pitch. And that if you want a live service title, you have to have content that's more varied than just the most bland and uninteresting, go here, shoot this thing, move over there, shoot this other thing, and then move to this last place and shoot some more things, and then call it a day. You gotta have more than that, at least in my humble opinion, though perhaps people who are really into like shooter MMO RPGs are going to disagree with me, but I would just hope that there's a little more to it than that. As for the future of Anthem, I don't think there is a future. They've abandoned it at this point. They aren't going near it, and I don't think they're ever going to go back to it. I think they have much better IP to focus on, and that's what they're going to be doing in the years to come. They'll probably be delving back into like Mass Effect and checking that out, but I don't think they're going back to Anthem. At least this decade, I don't think. But I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for watching and hanging out with me. Make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified of new videos. And if you have a game you'd like me to go and try again or to critique in the future, let me know in the comment section as well. And like I said earlier, I'm live streaming at this very moment that we upload this video. So if you're watching this either on the day of launch or any other Monday, Wednesday, Friday, come over and hang out with me live. We play games like this, we hang out, we chat, look at gaming news, watch stupid videos, we have a great time, so come say hi. Of course, links in the description box, blah, 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 you know the drill. But I'm gonna leave it there. Thanks for watching and hanging out with me. Much love. I'll see you in the next one. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.